How many stocks did cash outperform over the last 30, 20, and 10 years? Interesting. So this goes back to the video I did yesterday where, yes, I was wearing the same shirt. I don't smell bad. Why change the shirt? Why give my wife more stuff to do? I'm like, dude, I'll wear the same shirt until it freaking, I don't know, until the cows come home. As long as I'm not stinking, and I don't stink. Oh, yeah, mint juleps, Josh. What is a mint julep? I don't know, but I smell like it. All right. Anyway, so remember that we had our top, so what this is showing us here is a top 20 in market capitalization stocks from 1994, the S&P 500, 2004 and 2014, excuse me. And what we're doing here is we're putting 10,000 in each of the top 20 market cap stocks to see how they did. And what you'll see is you put 10,000 bucks in Exxon, it's worth $175,000 at the end of those 30 years. You put 10,000 bucks in Intel, it's worth $196,000 at the end of those 30 years. But $10,000 in the S&P 500 by itself is worth $188, just FYI. So we can see only 8 of the 20 stocks actually beat the S&P 500. That's the video I did yesterday. I don't really care about the S&P 500 here. I just want to see did my cash, short-term bonds, or total bond index, did any of those outperform any of these stocks? All right. Now, obviously, because the markets are skewed favorable to the positive side, that means every day the markets go up more than they go down. If just look at history, will that happen again? I don't know. I'm pretty comfortable thinking that's going to happen. The markets have a bias of positivity, of positive performance. I think it's like on any given day, it's like 55% of the time you made money in the markets, 45% of the time you lost money. Now, is that statistically relevant? Yeah, I think so, because we're looking at individual days. Individual days. Now, do they kind of play off each other? Sure, absolutely. So if a stock's going down yesterday, it might go down tomorrow. If stock's going up yesterday, it'll probably go up tomorrow. But either way, it doesn't matter. We know for a fact that about 55% of the time, if memory serves, the stocks have a positive performance, which means 45 times they're negative. All right, so the longer that you can allow your stocks to grow, the more growth there's going to be inherently. And that's the issue. You're taking on more short-term risk for more long-term gains. Long-term gains do not include pulling money out. That is no longer a long-term investor necessarily when you're pulling money out. Some of your money is long-term investment, but you are now a short-term investor because you're pulling money out, which is why this whole thing, stocks for the long run, doesn't make sense. Because, yeah, stocks for the long run, as long as you can allow the market to perform is year over year over year compounding growth rates. But if you're pulling money out, inherently you're not. Anyway, so my thesis, I don't know, hypothesis, whatever comes first. I always know there's a hypothesis and a thesis, or a thesis and a hypothesis. I can't remember which comes first. So let me know in the show notes. Is that fewer or more stocks will outperform cash, short-term bonds, and total bond index with time. I would think that would be the case. The longer you can allow the stocks to grow, the more stocks will outperform. I can almost guarantee it's going to be the case, but we'll see. Over 20 years, from 2004, it's less years for the stocks to grow, less year for compounding, all right? And so I would imagine bonds, cash, and total bond index will do better than more stocks. And then over the last 10 years, I would imagine the same thing as well. But with that said, the last 10 years we've had a significant downturn in stocks like the world has never seen just 2 years ago. And stocks had a massive run as well. So we're peeing in the wind, if that makes sense, for the last 10 years, compare stocks to bonds, because stocks had a massive run. Bonds just got corrupted like crazy, just smoked in 2022, like the world has never seen. So I would not expect much in this scenario, but it would be fun to try. All right, so what we're doing here is we're going to go and we're going to look at the three, by the way, a couple people said, you didn't reinvest dividends. I did. Reinvest dividends. It's weird. People are like, this would be even better if the dividends were reinvested. It's like, weird to me that people initially thought, why would you ever do a thing where the default is not to reinvest dividends? It doesn't make sense. All right. So we invested $10,000 in cash in 1994. It's now worth, we'll just say 20. We invested $10,000 in Vanguard short-term bond index. It's now worth basically 30. $10,000 in the total bond index is worth 35. All right. So we're going to look at our sheet here. Is there anything less than 35,000? And the answer is there's just one right here, AIG. AIG is one stock that's less than 35,000. So cash and bonds were beat by 19 out of 20 stocks over that time frame. Actually, I want to point something else out too. Check this out. The top market capitalization. In 1994, Exxon was the biggest company in America, ExxonMobil. And market capitalization is number of shares outstanding times price per share. ExxonMobil became number 2 in 2004. ExxonMobil is still number 2 in 2014. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is right now. Actually, let's just take a look. I think I still have that thing up here. Let's see. Let me pause it real quick and see what we got. Yes, this is nuts. So the top 20 S&P 500 stocks by market cap as of 1/1/2024. Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Nvidia, Facebook, Tesla, Berkshire, Eli Whitney, and Visa. Broadcom is still in there? Damn, that's crazy. Exxon is about number 16. So Exxon has gone from number 1 to 2 to 2 to 16 over the last 30 years. Nuts, man. And the funny thing is, Apple wasn't even here in 1994 or even in 2004, but it's number 1 in 2014 and is now number 1 as well. Microsoft was way down here at number 17 in 1994, became number 1 in 2004, and it's number 4 in 2014. Now it's number 2. There was no Alphabet, and Alphabet's here. There was no Amazon. Amazon kicked in right here in 2014 at looks about number 15 or so. Facebook, no Nvidia, no Tesla. Berkshire, I think, was all 3. No, Berkshire was not here. Berkshire was right here and right here. Broadcom, no Broadcom. United Health, not in here. Walmart was, I think, all of them. Walmart there. Walmart. Yeah, so Walmart was in all of them. Exxon was all of them. MasterCard, nothing, no MasterCard. J&J, I think, yeah, J&J. Procter & Gamble and Home Depot. Home Depot wasn't any of them. Isn't that crazy? Look how the leaders have changed. That's nuts, dude. Anyway, so there you go. So that's kind of interesting. So of the 3 things, cash, short-term bonds, and intermediate bonds, the total bond index, they only beat 1 over the last 30 years. Now let's go look and see from 2004 to 2024. And I'm just using Portfolio Visualizer for this, amigos. So take it up with these guys if my numbers are wrong. And did I do analyze? Let's see. Analyze. Yeah, I did. Okay. So we're going to go down here. And cash now is worth 13, 15, and 18. 13, 15, and 18. So let's see. Did cash beat any of these? So, 13, 15, and 18. Look, cash beat 1, 2, 3. Cash beat 3 and basically tied for 4. So the total bond index beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The total bond index beat 5 out of 20, 25%, right? The total bond index beat 20% of the S&P 500, the top of the 20 of the S&P 500 from 2004. Dude, that's crazy. Think about it. The total bond index beat 5 out of 20 of the top 20 stocks in the S&P 500 in 2004 until today. Even cash did better than 1, 2, 3. And then basically tied for 4. That's freaking crazy. So if you're sitting there in 2004, are you sitting there saying, I don't want to touch G, I don't want to touch Citi, I don't want to touch AIG, I don't want to touch whatever, Paramount Global? Even Cisco's only at 29. Okay, that's interesting. Again, I'm just doing this on the fly. I didn't know that. I don't think this is going to be the case the last 10 years, though. I just don't think so. Because last 10 years, everything got smoked for the portfolio, for bonds, but stocks did pretty well. So, let's see. For the last 10 years, cash is all worth 11,000. So basically, you got to be under 11,000. And let's see what is under 11,000. G's at 11. And that's it. All right, so cash over the last 10 years, bonds only beat one right there. Citigroup's pretty close, Verizon pretty close, Wells Fargo pretty close, Pfizer pretty close. But other than that, yeah. So over the last 10 years, cash and bonds and long and intermediate term bonds only beat 1, which was GE. And even that, I might have just rounded down, frankly. So anyway. Interesting. I would have been surprised here. I thought it'd be more here, but again, this is just the top 20 of the S&P 500. It would be kind of cool to go back and do the whole thing, but again, this is just fun because you shouldn't really be. I mean, you can dabble in individual stocks, but you shouldn't be putting your whole portfolio in a bunch of individual stocks, man. I mean, again, just going back. I just want to reiterate this for a second here. I hope I'm plugged in. I hope y'all can hear me. If you had $10,000 invested in all these companies, right? And that's $200,000 and $200,000 in the S&P 500. You would have had $5.439 million at the end of 30 years compared to your $200,000 in the S&P 500, which is worth $3.77 million. You'd be $1.79 million richer. Well, that all is on the backs of Microsoft. You take out Microsoft, you're at 2.792. That's not quite fair because we're only doing 19 shares here, but still, you're about $1 million poorer if you miss Microsoft and relative to the S&P 500. I mean, this is crazy. And then here, if you invest in the S&P 500 versus 10,000 each of the other guys, even the S&P 500 is $400,000 richer, even though Microsoft still did pretty well. I mean, isn't that crazy? If you would have invested $10,000 in each of these stocks, and that's $200,000 total, or $200,000 in the S&P 500, the S&P 500 did better by a factor of $400,000. None of these went, well, AIG pretty much, but other than that, I mean, my goodness. And over the last 10 years, the same thing. $10,000 in each of these guys is worth $731. $200,000 in the S&P 500 is $658. You know, it's a difference of what's that, $60,000, $70,000. That's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But I mean, look at that, and then look at that. If you miss Microsoft, your butt is, you're SOL. Anyway, point being is, again, individual stocks are way more risky than they're worth. Everyone wants to get that Amazon. Everyone wants to get the Apple. I get it. You're a lot more likely to get the big fat nothing burger, or what we used to call an S asterisk IT sandwich in the Army, because I was one. How do I know what an S asterisk IT sandwich is? Because you're looking at the King S sandwich right here. Scanlon, you S sandwich. Yeah, I know, Sarge. I know. Hey, First Sergeant, good morning. Anyway, God bless. I love these kind of videos. They're fun. So I hope you found this entertaining and informative. If so, give me a thumbs up. All right, God bless. We'll see you